Welcome to another tutorial. Today we are going to be making these really simple hearts and pom-poms. I'm not going to use a cookie cutter, although I love cookie cutters. I'm doing it this way because I want you to see how easy it is to create these shapes freehand, which also allows you to make any size or shape you wish. So what I've done here is I have created this lovely sort of topiary style decoration in a little terracotta pot, and I've done the same here. So that one is on a barbecue stick with the two hearts and the pom-pom at the base, a little bit of core wool in there covered by the green wool, and then the barbecue stick just plonked down the center. And then with this one, I've just threaded everything onto a wire. So this is floristry wire. Felted that, created this arch, and then stuck the arch to the side of this little miniature terracotta pot so it keeps it nice and stable. So they're really easy to make. And then in addition, I have made this gorgeous hearts and pom-poms and tassel garland, which you can see here. Again, same way of making the hearts, and again, a beautiful decoration. Now, if you didn't want to go with the traditional sort of pink and whites and you wanted more of a spring theme, then you could choose different colours for whatever theme you're using. So I've got a really nice yellow here, this beautiful sort of soft yellow and a green, so lovely spring colours. And these are perfect for all sorts of things. They're great for decorating a kid's room, but also imagine if you are having a party or a wedding and you want to have handmade decorations. Imagine these on the tables in your actual colour theme for your party or wedding. That would just look amazing. Just the little topiary additions, or the beautiful garlands sort of adorning the tables, or the top table. Even if it's a wedding, you could have those along the front. There's so much you could do with them, but they are so easy to make. So I'm going to show you first how to create a beautiful needle felted heart. Now, the wool's quite important to get this look because you want a nice, soft, easy to shape heart. And I am using carded batting, and carded batting is wool that's kind of slightly, it's felted, but it's in flat sort of lofty sheets. And when you pull it, you know, you'll be able to sort of split it into two layers. I'm keeping it just as it came. So this is a carded batting sheet, and the difference between carded batting and wool tops, or roving as you may also know it, is just the way that it's processed. So carded wool is brushed in lots of different directions, and the wool tops that I use for the pom-poms are long lengths of wool all brushed in the same direction. You don't need much. You need a felting mat. It can be a foam mat that I'm using here. Always make sure you use a topper. Will save you a fortune in mats, and also much better for the environment because you're not replacing them all the time. Or you can also use a rice mat with a topper on. Any mat that you've got that works for you is absolutely fine. You only need one needle for this, although you can use a multi-tool to speed it up, but you only need one needle, and I am using, this is a 38, sort of what I call a standard good all-rounder needle, and it's quite robust, so breaks much less easily than the finer needles, and is quicker to felt. And you could also use a 36 for this as well, which would be perfect. I put the 38s in most of my needle felting kits. It's my sort of go-to needle if you know, you can create a project from start to finish with this. So that's it. Let's get going. Hearts are super easy. What you are going to do is you're going to create a simple petal shape. You're going to draw a petal shape with your felting needle. Now, I might have a little bit too much wool here, so I'm just going to pull a little bit of that away. Because what's going to happen is we're going to draw this shape, and then we're going to pull all our wool towards the centre to create the heart shape. But to do that, we just create a very simple sort of petal teardrop shape to start with. And the key is in just a simple shape, and then once we've felted it and it's got nice and firm, we then actually start to create this heart shape. So off we go. So lay your carded, I mean, you can use carded wool as well, carded wool lengths, lay them on your mat, take your felting needle, and then just draw a rough teardrop sort of petal shape. Not a heart shape. So we've got this nice curve going around here. Can you see that? And there we go. We've got a line to work from. And then what we do is we pull in the wool towards the center. And when you feel resistance, that is the line that you've created. You then felt that in and you pull around. Now I've got quite a lot of excess wool here, so I'm going to take some of that as I come around, but I do want a nice sort of fluffy, lofty heart for the effect. So just bring that in, and can you see? We're just pulling it to there and feeling that resistance. And I'm just going to take some of this wool away. And that's the other great thing about using carded wool for this, is because it's in short fibres, it just pulls off really easily without tugging on your work. So bring that in. Continue to bring it all towards the centre. And doing it this way means we have a really nice soft edge, which is exactly what we want. Bring that in down towards the bottom where it will start to narrow. Use your hand, keep those fingers out of the way of the needle. And I've got quite a lot of wool here, so I'm just going to pull a little bit more off there. And just bring that in. And then pull that with your needle towards the centre. And this is a really rough shape at the moment. We're just getting the bones of it together. And then pull it away from the mat before you continue to felt. And so that looks really odd at the moment. Bring your needle to the side and just start to bring those edges in. And see, because it's nice and soft and lofty, we can really sort of work on that shape. And then really sort of start to speed up. If you wanted to use a multi-tool, you could. I've got this wooden felting needle holder here, which has 3 needles. You can take one out and use it as 2 needles, or just one if you want something that's nice and chunky. If you have any dexterity problems with your hands, these are really comfortable to work with. And I've got fine needles in here. Because I'm using 3, I don't want it to ruin the shape, so I've put finer needles in here, and these are size 40s. And that will quickly, quite like that green against the raspberry here, and then turn that again. And you see this side, because we've been felting this side is nice and smooth, and then the other side will be smooth as well because we're going to push that wool through. So each time you're improving and firming that shape, and keep that going. There we go. And again. So as I said, single needle is absolutely fine, but I'm just speeding it up with this so you're not getting bored with me using the one needle and taking more time than I need to. But if you haven't got that, you don't need a multi-tool. You can also just tape 2 felting needles together and use those. So I'm going to go back to my single needle now, and I'm going to start to shape this heart. So what I'm going to do is these edges, I'm just going to bring them in. I'm going to leave that because that's the kind of shape that I want, but I'm just going to make sure that it's really nicely rounded and curved, getting the shape that I want. Go diagonally down the sides. If you go diagonally, can you see how that's pushing those sides in? And this is definitely sort of a soft heart. We don't want something that's overly felted. And you can absolutely use wool tops for this, which I have done on many occasions, depending on what wool you've got. Any wool will do, but I just like this carded batting for this particular project. Can you see now how we are starting to bring this shape in? And you can use your fingers as well. But once it gets a bit firmer, we'll use those a little bit more. So now what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to, I want this point at the bottom of the heart. So I'm really going to start working on that shape now. Got a little bit of a sort of raw, uneven edge here. So I'm just going to bring that over with my needle. Just over the edges, so that starts to soften and become more even. You see how that is starting to shape nicely. I'm just going to work around this heart again. Just keep it moving. You don't want to flatten any particular area. And that is coming together nicely. So again, I'm going to narrow this base. I'm not creating the main heart shape just yet. Come back to that in a moment. It doesn't matter, but it doesn't actually matter which way around you do this. You can start at the top or the bottom. And that firms up those edges as well. And can you see how that is beginning to work? And the firmer it gets, the easier it will be to create shapes with your fingers as well. So I'm aiming to get this to more of a sort of pointy shape at the bottom. Now what you could do, if you're worried about stabbing yourself, use finger guards if you feel you need to. But what you can also do is, I've got a piece of cardboard here, and you can just pop that in the cardboard to protect your fingers, squeeze it quite tightly, and then just felt along the cardboard, and the cardboard will not break your needle. So if you're feeling a bit apprehensive and worried about actually catching your fingers, then use the cardboard. You can do this, use this for all sorts of projects, especially if you're doing like flat bunny ears and those kind of things, tails. And that gives you also a really nice, neat edge. You see that? And then turn it around and do the other side. You can get fancy leather ones for this. I had a lovely one given to me as a gift, but all you need really is a little bit of cardboard just to hold it. You see how that's starting to shape now? Cardboard off there. And then I'm going to work back up here and around. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to create this proper sort of heart shape here. Now you can have it symmetrical, you can have it off to one side as I have here, entirely up to you. So I'm just going to go for the centre and see where I end up. Probably off centre, but it won't matter. So I'm putting my fingers here. Keep your fingers flat, like so. And then keep your needle flat and just push in the same place over and over. Just work up and down in the same place, in the same spot. And you see how that heart's now starting to take shape. And it's so easy. And then flip that over, do the same on the other side, because you want it to look as good on the back as it does the front. See how that's coming along now? I'm going to just push that along a little bit further, because I want it a little bit deeper. There we go. Come back to the front or the back. I'm not sure which will be which just yet. But you want a really defined shape. You see how that's coming along nicely now? And then we're just going to work this shape again. I'll come back to that in a minute, but we're just going to continue to create our nice heart shape. And we're just going through the surface here now. We're not pushing all the way in, it's just the surface shape that we are working on. Go diagonally. And then again, I'm going to come back here and really push through this gap here to emphasize it. See how that's coming along nicely now, and make sure again you go to the other side. Want it nice and even. And you know, just keep going until you're happy with that shape. It's entirely up to you. It doesn't have to be perfect either. And if you've got any ridges as well, you can just use your needle just to sort of scrape that wool for a really smooth, bit of cardboard in there still, smooth finish. But those are things that you can do once we've got to the end of it. And then what I really want to do is I want to sort of curve this side. You see how I want to curve that? So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to focus on a little area, pushing straight in, fingers to the side again. And that way you will protect yourself. And then other side. I'm going to come down here. Be very careful with your fingers. Again, you can use finger guards for this if you're feeling a bit anxious about poking yourself with a needle. I'm used to it. It doesn't bother me. It's sort of water off a duck's back now, but some people's pain threshold and tolerance is a lot less than mine. I've just kind of got used to it. There we go. So can you see how that's really shaping? And now, because it's firming, you can actually start to use your fingers and nip and squeeze. And look at that. That's already pretty much done. Beautifully shaped. And once you've done one and you've got used to the technique, which is very simple, you can fly along with these. Make them as big or as small as you wish. And then just go around the edges and use your felting needle, because we want both sides to be really neat. And as you can see on this side, we've got some slight lumpy lines. I mean, they're barely visible, but I like to get rid of them if I can. So if you just push through from one side, what you're doing is you're pushing the wool through to where those little lines and ridges are, and they're all disappearing. So just work that around. Like that. And then I think I just want to narrow this a little bit more and have more curve here. So there you go. That's really all you need to know about how to create a free-handed shaped heart. And again, cookie cutters are brilliant. I use them. I love them. But what this does is it allows you to create any size, shape, design that you wish. And again, I'm just using that needle just to tease that wool over just to neaten it. Go through from this side. And there we go. And there's a little bit of fuzz around the edges. I mean, tiny amount, and I wouldn't be bothered by that at all. But if you really want to neaten it, then use a pair of small sharp scissors. Just keep them flat to the heart, but don't cut into the actual heart itself. You're just getting those wisps. But generally, I wouldn't bother. And there you go. And again, final detail is done. So that is our heart done and finished. So hope you found that super easy.